All right, guys, so we got to talk about a news story that is flying under the radar, but is extremely important. And it is a news story that I want to see a lot more of because this is what we elect Republican politicians for, right? If they can't do stuff like this, then throw the whole damn party away, right? Which is to protect our national security interest, right? And what is not in our national security interest is having foreign-owned, especially Chinese-owned seed producers buying up U.S. farmland from domestic farmers, right? No. We can't have that. And Arkansas governor, Miss Sarah Huckabee Sanders, decided to force a Chinese-owned seed producer to sell 160 acres of farmland because of national security concerns, essentially kicking out the Chinese-owned company from the state, which I 100% support. Take a look.
Rachel, thanks. New at 6, concerns over China buying up Arkansas farmland and spying on agriculture technology has led the state to order a company to divest ownership of that land. At a news conference this morning, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Attorney General Tim Griffin announcing plans to enforce a new law that bans foreign parties from owning agriculture land in the state. The governor said a seed research facility in northeast Arkansas is owned by a Chinese state-owned company. The new law allows the AG to order the company to give up 160 acres and also slap the company with a $280,000 fine.
Seeds are technology. Chinese state-owned corporations filter that technology back to their homeland, stealing American research and telling our enemies how to target American farms. At the beginning of my term, my administration worked with our partners in the legislature to get hostile foreign entities out of Arkansas. I was proud to sign Act 636, sponsored by Senator Johnson and Representative Vaught, banning foreign parties from 9 enemy countries from owning agricultural land in Arkansas. And today, we are acting on that law. I'm announcing that Syngenta, a Chinese state-owned agrochemical company, must give up its land holdings in Arkansas. Syngenta owns 160 acres in northeast Arkansas, which it uses primarily for seed research. The company that owns Syngenta, Chem China, is also on the Department of Defense's list of Chinese military companies posing a clear threat to our state. Seeds are technology. Chinese state-owned corporations filter that technology back to their homeland, stealing American research and telling our enemies how to target American farms. That is a clear threat to our national security and to our great farmers, especially since the Chinese government enacted a law in 2017 requiring Chinese citizens abroad to collaborate with their country's security officials on intelligence work with no questions asked. This isn't about where you're from. We welcome Chinese Americans, Russian Americans, and anyone else who's given up foreign oppression for American freedom. This is about where your loyalties lie. We simply cannot trust those who pledge allegiance to a hostile foreign power. That's why I signed Act 525, sponsored by Representative McKenzie and Senator Boyd, to ban Chinese and Russian-made drones. And it's why I signed Act 758, sponsored by Representative McAlinden and Senator Stubblefield, banning public contracts with the CCP. We will make sure that every company operating in Arkansas is a friend to Arkansas and good to hardworking Arkansans. Secretary Ward has already notified Syngenta about this decision. If they refuse to sell, our Attorney General can move forward with legal proceedings and force them to get out of our state. Arkansas will always protect our farmers and our national security interest. I want to thank our legislature for passing this common sense measure, and I want to thank the Department of Agriculture for working so hard on this issue. I will now turn it over to Attorney General Griffin to address his team's next steps. Thank you all.
The governor said this is the first time any state has used a law like this. Griffin said the company has 2 years to sell, and that fine came from failure to disclose the ownership stake in a timely manner.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, now cue some liberal, some woke activists, boohoo whining, oh my God, the racist Republicans are forcing the Chinese company to leave the state to sell farmland because they're xenophobic. Right? They're racist. Okay, or some liberal activist judge trying to interfere and step in and stop this, right? This is par for the course when it comes to the left. Don't be surprised, right? But until then, yeah, I 100% agree with this, right? I 100% agree with it. And again, I'm not sure why this is even a thing, but let's read about this real quick. The state of Arkansas is forcing a Chinese-owned seed producer to sell 160 acres of farmland it owns in the state within the next 2 years over national security concerns. Syngenta, the mother company of Northrop King Seed Co., which also creates crop protection ingredients, has owned the land in Craighead County for more than 30 years. But in 2017, it was acquired by China National Chemical Corp., which is on the U.S. Department of Defense's list of Chinese military companies that pose a threat to our national security. So again, this company is a seed technology company. They own farmland in the United States. They're on the Department of Defense's list of Chinese military companies that pose a threat to national security. I'm not sure why they were allowed to purchase the land in the first place. Why even allow them to purchase the land in the first place? Why are we allowing any Chinese company to own anything in the United States in regards to land, especially land, right? Again, I'm just saying. Again, I get their Chinese banks, okay, there are other stuff like that. But land, actual land, yeah, I think that's a bit too far, right? I wonder how much land the United States owns in China. Probably not that much because I couldn't find anything because apparently that's not allowed. Foreigners are not allowed to buy land in China because it is collectively owned, okay, which would make sense, okay? So again, we're giving China advantages that we can't even get in China, right? So again, when you have companies that are state-owned, yeah, I mean, you got to have some national security concerns when they're buying up land in your country because, again, state-owned corporations are basically the Chinese government, right? This is like the Chinese government owning land in the United States, and we can't have that because clearly they're going to use it to spy, to control the food supply, to do all types of crazy stuff. They can be poisoning people, right? I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm just saying that can be used as a weapon, right? Is warfare in some way. I mean, there's all types of crazy stuff that can happen. Quote, seize our technology, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders said at a news conference on Tuesday, claiming countries that are hostile to the United States could use knowledge of American farming practices to their advantage. Quote, Chinese-owned state corporations filter that technology back to their homeland, stealing American research and telling our enemies to target American farms, she explained. This is a clear threat to our national security and our farmers. Yeah, I agree. Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin added, quote, the idea that the Chinese government would care about non-military assets is exactly what they've demonstrated over the past few decades. Yeah, so again, they're going to fine them, okay? And if they refuse to sell the land, then they're going to kick them out, right? That's what's going to happen. So again, this is a part of a bigger kind of backlash against foreign entities owning U.S. real estate and land. Let's watch this.
Tensions still high between the U.S. and China. A growing number of states are seeking to ban Chinese companies from buying American land. But how big is the potential risk to U.S. security? Here's Ryan Nobles.
In Montana, fears about the security threat from China have been growing ever since that Chinese spy balloon soared across its famous big sky.
The Chinese spy balloon was right above us. That woke a lot of people up.
And it's not just worries about America's vulnerability from the air. Now, one of Montana's senators is pushing to keep the Chinese government from buying land nationwide.
China is not our friend right now, and the Chinese Communist Party wants to do bad things.
Senator John Tester is proposing a ban on entities with ties to China and 3 other foreign adversaries from buying American farmland and wants to beef up monitoring of land transactions to foreign buyers.
Right now, we're not paying any attention to it.
The push to prohibit foreign land purchases from China has exploded across America. 15 states have passed laws regulating the practice. much of the focus coming after controversial purchases in Texas and North Dakota.
Yeah, so I wonder why, right? Why would the Chinese government be increasing their purchases of U.S. land over the last few years? Why would that be? Okay, especially when tensions are as high as they are. Clearly, they have malicious intent, right? I'm just saying, I mean, let's not be naive about this, okay?
Where Chinese companies bought land and failed to disclose it to the U.S. government. In Grand Forks, North Dakota, city officials recently blocked construction on land purchased by a Chinese company just 12 miles from Grand Forks Air Force Base. The company has said it's just a corn mill and not an espionage risk. But the Air Force had warned that the project presented a, quote, significant threat to national security. Overall, U.S. intelligence rates the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, as a top security threat.
The CCP represents both the leading and most consequential threat to U.S. national security and leadership globally.
Though an NBC News review tonight finding nationwide the amount of American land being purchased by Chinese entities appears to be small. Since early 2022, less than 1,400 acres sold to businesses tied to China have been reported to the USDA so far. In total, it appears China controls less than 400,000 acres of American land, which is less than 1% of all the land owned by foreign entities.
I don't care, right? I don't care. They should own none of it. Zero. Okay, I'm just saying. How much land do you need to spy? Okay, I don't know. With technology nowadays, I don't know. They certainly aren't afraid to spy in the air. Okay, they're flying, spy balloons over the United States, allegedly, because they believe that Joe Biden's weak. I'm just saying they should have none, right? This shouldn't even be a problem at all.
Here in Montana, a state law banning Chinese citizens from buying land passed with bipartisan support. Brad Molnar was the only Republican to vote no.
You create the dragon. There never was a dragon.
He says the law is an overreach and would prevent his wife, a Chinese national, from being able to inherit his land after he dies.
There's no evidence that I'm aware of that the people that own the land are in any way a threat to American security. If they are, arrest them and remove them.
Tonight, Tester tells us more action is needed to counter the security risk from the Chinese government.
Are you concerned that we don't even know how much land China has potentially purchased already?
I don't think we know how much land they bought. This is prospective. This will stop it happening before it becomes a situation where we go, oh, gee, we wish we'd have done something about that in 2023.
While Tester's amendment did pass with wide bipartisan support, it's part of a larger defense package that still needs to be negotiated between the House and Senate in the months ahead.
Of course,
in the U.S.
because the politicians can't just pass a clean bill and say, this is the bill, let's pass it into law and be done with it. No, it has to be a part of a much bigger package because that's how the politicians operate. Again, they can't even do anything as simple as just ban Chinese companies from buying up U.S. farmland. They can't do something that simple without making it much more complicated than what it really is. This is how deep the swamp goes, right? This is why you don't get anything done in this country, right? This is why nothing gets done, okay? And we still continue to have these problems because this is how politicians operate. But regardless, again, I like to see at least some progress on this issue. Shout out to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This is a good move, and this is something that we should definitely see because we shouldn't take the risk of having the Chinese set up these types of espionage operations here in the United States. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.